Hello, my beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and today we're talking about the latest ColourPop collection. This one's called Plush Like Me. There are quite a few pieces in this collection, so I'm going to go over everything. I'm going to give you prices, I'm going to give you close-ups, and I did do comparisons with all of the products in this collection. So I have a whole bunch of information for you and a ton of swatches. This collection is currently available on the ColourPop site. It launched last week. There is no official word yet on if it will be available at Ulta, but it seems like most things have been making their way over to the Ulta site and vice versa. So I think eventually we can expect some, if not all, of this collection to make its way to Ulta. A lot of people say if it has a barcode, it'll be available at Ulta. I haven't found that to be strictly true, but I don't know. It'll probably end up there. There is one collection set and one lip color that are out of stock, but as of the time that I'm recording this voiceover, everything else is still available from this collection, and you can use my affiliate code to save 10%. That code is just Amanda in all caps. If you are interested in supporting the channel that way, then I really and truly appreciate it. Now, let's get into the products. I want to start with the Soul Body Powder. This is the Shimmering Body Powder Mini. It's in the shade Catwalk, and it's priced at $10 US. The Soul products are scented, and even these powders are pretty heavily scented. They have a sort of beachy, like coconut tanning oil type of scent to them. I always try to mention if things are scented because I know that a lot of people don't really love fragrance in their makeup or may be sensitive to it. So bear in mind this powder is pretty strongly scented. It's a soft peachy pink with a bunch of soft gold glitter. This is quite glittery, as are all of the Shimmering body powders. And I am going to give you just a quick little comparison here with this one, because I think that Catwalk is sort of the baby of Rosé, which is my favorite Soul Body powder that is being discontinued or maybe is already discontinued. I think this new one is the baby of Rosé and Pink Champagne, another favorite of mine. I also wanted to show you what these powders look like in low light so you can see a little bit of that golden shift in Catwalk. It's more subtle than Pink Champagne. Now let's talk about the blush sticks. I love blush sticks. I love cream blush in general. If you know me, you know I love a casually sweaty cheek, a little more than dewy. So any dewy, creamy cheek product is really my jam. So I'm happy to see some more blush sticks. These are priced at $9 a piece, and they do have some special packaging on the actual product itself. And then the shade names are printed on the side. So they're not on a sticker, they're not on a thing on the cap like the original blush sticks releases. And we have 4 different shades here: Skater Boys, Mall Rat, Winona Forever, which is a reference to a Johnny Depp tattoo from the 90s, and So Called, which I'm guessing is a reference to My So-Called Life. Skater Boys is probably an Avril Lavigne reference. Mall Rat is probably a reference to a movie called Mallrats. I was a 90s kid, so a lot of these names are very familiar to me, but if you are much younger or much older than me, then you may not be picking up on all the shade name references, which is fine. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really impact the product itself. Let me show you some comparisons here. Blushes are something that I think it's very worthwhile to do comparisons with because they do tend to have less variation than something like eyeshadows or even lip colors. So here are a few blush sticks comparisons. Now let's talk about the LIPPIE pencils. We have 4 LIPPIE pencils in this collection. They're priced at $6 a piece, and they do have the special packaging again on the outer box with the little stickers on top, as well as on the actual pencils themselves. They have color coordinated caps, and they also have color coordinated little pieces on the bottom, which is nice. So no matter how you store them, you'll be able to at least somewhat grab for the one you want. And then the shade names again are printed on the side instead of being on a sticker on the bottom. We have 4 shades here. One of these LIPPIE pencils I recognize as a re-promoted older shade. Good and Plenty, I know I have that one previously released. I think the others are new. There may be some re-promotes in here. I don't remember the LIPPIE pencils as well as I do a lot of their other products. So if any of these others are re-promotes and I'm totally just dropping the ball on that, feel free to let me know in the comments and I'll update some info like that in the description box if need be. Now we're going to look up close at some LIPPIE pencil comparisons. Sorry, these are a little bit messier than my typical swatches. I think they're going to still get the job done for us, but I was trying not to wipe my arm off over and over again because, as you're going to see, there are a lot of comparisons in this video, and I was trying to save my arm skin and not get too stained and too irritated so that I could really hang in there for the lipstick comparisons and the palette comparisons, of which there are many, and my arm is pretty wrecked after doing them, but hopefully it's worth it if it's helpful. Now let's move on to the lipsticks in this collection. There are 8 lipsticks in the Plush Like Me collection. They are the Blur Finish Luxe lipsticks, and they're priced at $8 a piece. These do not have special packaging on the actual lipstick itself. They're just the special outer packaging, and then the shade names are on stickers on the bottom. When you see this in its packaging form, they are exactly like all of the older Blur lipsticks that have been previously released, so they don't have the little like stars stamped in the bullet itself. I decided to show you the lipsticks 4 at a time just to make it easier to digest, and we do have the 4 lighter shades here, and I'll show you the 4 deeper shades separately. These are all very pinky neutral. Banty is more brownish, but overall we're getting a pink or red undertone from all of these lipsticks. I'm surprised that there aren't more cool tones within this lipstick collection, especially being a 90s inspired release. I was just expecting some more cool tones, some more browns, and this seems very much their typical warm, pinky nude type of colors with a couple little red berry shades thrown in there. Don't get me wrong, I think that all of these shades are very, very pretty, and I do think that they will sell well, and I think they will flatter a lot of people, but I just was expecting something a little bit more cool toned, brown, grayish, I don't know, something that says 90s a little bit more. But I love the Luxe lipsticks, so I won't complain too much because I do like these shades and I like seeing this type of product being released. It just threw me off a little bit that it seems to be more of their standard shades and not more of a cool, grungy type of 90s vibe. Anyway, let's move on to the eyeshadow palette. The Plush Like Me palette is priced at $18 US, and I think you can tell just from this initial glance that the palette itself has some textural elements that the outer box doesn't have, certainly for logistical reasons. And I did scour the ingredients on the back of the box. There is only 2 shades that indicate that they may contain carmine, so this seems to be a pretty carmine-free type of palette for all my vegan friends and for all of my carmine-sensitive friends. This is probably going to be pretty safe. You know, I always say patch test when in doubt. There is 1 shade that has a pigment warning. There are no pressed glitters in this palette. This is sort of a thicker packaging. It has that more luxurious, heavy weight to it. It does have a really big mirror inside. So this is the same size and shape as the Limoncello palette. I'll show you a comparison in a second. First, I want to show you how crazy this greenish shade called TLC is. I'm not editing anything at all. As I move the lights and move this reflective background, there's something in this TLC shade that makes it look super duper green sometimes, and I don't know what it is. It is a olive toned type of bronze. This angle is how I can best capture what it really looks like in real life. I genuinely don't understand. So here's a comparison with the Limoncello palette. These are the larger pans and that heavier, more luxe type of packaging. Now let's take a look at some swatches of this Plush Like Me palette. As always, finger swatches on top, brush swatches below. No primer down first, no dampening my brush. This is a mostly matte palette, which I think works with the 90s theme when the all matte eye was really the trend. There are 8 matte shades and then 4 shimmers. That very first matte is kind of hard to see until you look at it close up here because it is so very close to my own skin tone. These shadows have performed really well with both finger and brush application, and the more I look at this color story, the more interesting I find it. I like the inclusion of these rich burgundy berries and these little olivey brown shades, TLC and Dep. Whew, okay, it is palette comparison time. I did so many palette comparisons for this release. As usual, I took advice and suggestions from my Instagram post. Make sure that you go follow Makeup.Just.For.Fun if you're on Instagram. That way you can leave your suggestions. And I try to take the most popular suggestions for comparisons from my Instagram friends. And we had a lot of different requests for this particular palette. I tried to do as many as I could. I actually did combine 2 of the requests. We'll get to that though. In general, this isn't a crazy out there type of color scheme for ColourPop, as you'll see throughout these comparisons. If you have a few of these palettes from my comparisons, then you very, very likely have the ability to create this same color story with what is already in your collection. A really good example of that is this It's a Mood palette. This is such a versatile palette. I really, really like It's a Mood. And if you combine Boudoir Noir and Wine and Only, you can definitely get the same sort of vibes from the Plush Like Me. I think a lot of these shadows are very, very, very similar. So try to look at what you already have and think if maybe you can build the color story of any new release, not just this one. That way you get the most out of what you already own. But you know what? At the same time, if you're excited about something and it's similar to something else that you have, who am I to tell you not to go for it? Because I mean, clearly, look at my collection. No judgment ever from me. I'm just here to give you useful, hopefully helpful information. Now, a very common request I got was for this Good Sport palette, which is one of my all-time favorite palettes. And you can see Plush Like Me is much less colorful, much less bright saturated, and a whole lot more neutral in comparison to Good Sport. So I think this is the least similar of all of the comparisons we're going to do today, but so many people were asking for it, and I saw a lot of people commenting it elsewhere on other people's posts as well. So I wanted to just include that. Just FYI, Good Sport is still one of the most special palettes ever, and I'm so sorry that if you didn't get it because I love it and it's no longer available. Anyway, the Whatever palette was another highly requested comparison. This one's pretty darn similar, and I think that the You Had Me at Hello is also a decent comparison, but a lot less depth, a lot less variation, and just more of a rosy color scheme overall. Still a very pretty palette, another discontinued ColourPop palette, but pretty close. You could get some similar looks. The very last comparison that my poor arm can tolerate is this X's and O's palette. I think you can kind of tell how just red and irritated my arm was getting. So I had to stop here, but hopefully you found a comparison that was useful or helpful in deciding whether or not you want this Plush Like Me palette. Overall, I think this whole collection is really cute. There are a lot of actual product formulas in here that I quite enjoy. I'm happy to see a sort of replacement or stand-in for my beloved Rosé powder from Soul Body. I absolutely love the blush sticks. I think all 4 shades are beautiful. Just depends on your style and your skin tone, which one I would recommend to you. Personally, my top picks are going to be Mall Rat, which is the neutral type of peach, and So Called, which is more of the berry shade. I think that'll be a cute little flush for cold weather. As far as the LIPPIE pencils go, I'm sort of neither here nor there. I think their LIPPIE pencils have a really nice formula, and if a lip pencil is something that you are drawn towards and a product that you use a lot, then I think formula-wise, quality-wise, these are lovely. I'm just not really gonna get hyped about a lip pencil. However, I'm very happy to see some new Luxe lipsticks. I wish that overall the whole collection was more cool toned for that grungy grayish 90s vibe, but I think all of the lipsticks are pretty and they're all shades that I can see a lot of people wearing and loving and looking really good in all through the fall and into holiday times. The palette really grew on me. When I first saw it, I just thought, oh no, here's like another boring neutral palette release. But the more that I used it, the formula really drew me in, and then I started seeing the complexities. You know, maybe I'm just looking for something to love because I really like the packaging, the theme, this very luxe, romantic, 90s nostalgia, all of that really works well for me. So maybe they're just tugging on my heartstrings, but the more I've used this palette, swatched it, played with it, the more that I've grown to really just appreciate it and enjoy it. So now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this collection. Did you order anything? Do you have anything on your wish list? I always love to hear what you think about things too, so make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. And I love each and every one of your beautiful little faces. Okay, bye!